All right, we're very fortunate to have you here. Could you please let us know what is data analytics from your perspective at IBM and why is it important?
So first, let me just say what we mean by data. And data is something that we now call the new natural resource.
Right.
Just like gold in the past or oil, data is the new natural resource because every company and every government can harness the power of data to improve the lives of people, to improve the performance of companies, to improve the satisfaction customers get. So data itself is being collected because we have instrumented various functions and processes in companies and government. We collect all this data and then we use mathematics, statistics, and advanced analytics to harness the power of this data to draw insights that we can then use to guide actions, whether they are, whether it's weather predictions, which is what most people are very familiar with, or statistical analysis of projecting the revenue of a company or health outcomes, how to combat diseases, etc. So data analytics is a field that's been around, but it has accelerated a lot because computing is cheaper, storage is cheaper, so it's much easier. And then you have new technologies like cloud infrastructure that make it easier. And there have been major advances in algorithms. So you hear about machine learning or artificial intelligence. So there's been huge advances in algorithms.
Tell us about that. Tell us about those advances, and especially in domains such as healthcare.
So in healthcare, for instance, there's certainly a lot of data that's being collected on healthcare. There were some papers presented at this conference on, for instance, influenza or dengue fever and how to predict where it's going to happen, because we can measure many things. We can measure the extent of rainfall and vegetation, and those things contribute to these things. So healthcare is one of those where there's a lot of focus on being able to predict where diseases will have outbreaks, how to combat them. Health is also an area where very advanced technologies are being used for screening. So for instance, you may have heard of the IBM Watson system that is used for screening for cancer. And we can train the machine now by showing them examples and making them as good as doctors, if not even better.
When you say even better, what do you mean?
So what has been found is, for instance, humans are prone to error.
Right.
And we are now training machines to learn from patterns to a level that are even better than humans. So the error that they make is even less. And that is the power of computing and the power of these advanced algorithms that are being applied to these problems.
And you mean for diagnostic purposes?
For diagnostic purposes. It doesn't replace the doctor, it augments the doctor. That's why many people prefer to call artificial intelligence augmented intelligence, because it doesn't necessarily replace the human involvement. It just augments them, gives them better insights, better tools so they can do their job more effectively.
I have another question, and I think it's a question that relates to your role at IBM. It is global, and some very interesting research has come out of IBM and global, at a global level. Hofstede's work on culture, for example. I'd like you to give us some insight in terms of where do you see from a global perspective, which countries or perhaps regions do you see making the type of impacts, perhaps most impact in the area of artificial augmented intelligence and data analytics?
There's plenty of work happening everywhere. So I would say certainly the United States has been at the forefront of these technologies. There are several companies, IBM, Google, Amazon, Facebook, etc., that you keep hearing about that are all investing heavily. But there is work being done in China in a big way. Many Chinese companies are investing. It's a strategic priority for the Chinese government. So you're seeing that. And associated technologies, I'm talking about analytics, but there are other fields like blockchain, etc., that take advantage of data in new ways. And there are governments like Singapore that are investing in those technologies as well, because they see them as enabling the new financial infrastructure that they want to play a part in.
Well, thank you for bringing up blockchain. I do want to follow up on that. Where do you see blockchain taking us? Financial, of course, perhaps health, supply chains. Where do you see the opportunity opportunities and interesting research questions with respect to blockchains and data analytics or augmented intelligence?
So I won't pretend to be an expert on blockchain, but I think blockchain has tremendous applications,
Right.
and you mentioned several. So I think where consumers will start seeing benefits
Right.
will be as supply chains become more efficient, it brings down the cost of
Right.
logistics, transportation, etc., and increasingly, facilitates the movement of goods.
Right.
It's supposed to make it easier to conduct financial transactions, whether it's leasing a car,
Right.
buying a house, etc.
Right.
Aside from just helping even with basic financial banking transactions,
Right.
storing wealth in a new way, etc.
Right.
So those are
Right.
sort of the promises
Right.
of blockchain.
Right.
There's still a long way to go before
Right.
these promises are realized,
Right.
because so there's enormous work underway to
Right.
actually drive this adoption of this
Right.
technology and create that infrastructure.
And I'd like to follow up on that because IBM, as you know, and so well, has provided the infrastructure, data, and processing power for technologies historically. Blockchain involves a lot of processing power and data, as does augmented reality and data analytics. So where do you see the role of IBM, or perhaps new researchers and students in this area? Where do you see them offering contributions?
So there are several places.
Right.
So I would say, broadly speaking, IBM plays in, you could say, three major areas.
Right.
One is developing the systems themselves.
Right.
So we used to make mainframe computers, we make all kinds of computing
Right.
systems and storage, and so we're going to build those building blocks on
Right.
which technology like blockchain is built.
Right.
The second is the software that runs on these,
Right.
which is we create software solutions which solve business problems that
Right.
companies have. We are predominantly a business-to-business company.
Right, right.
And thirdly, we provide services on top of that make it
Right.
easier for companies, so they don't have to have all of the expertise in-house.
Right.
But IBM can provide the expertise to help manage these.
Right.
So we are in systems, software, and services. And we
great.
are increasingly focusing on verticals. So we are
Okay.
focusing on the financial industry vertical, we're focusing on the health vertical,
Right.
where this is an opportunity for students and faculty is that there is a tremendous need for talent to
Right.
make all this possible. And this is where we reach out and we partner. We have an academic initiative that where we allow universities to get access to our assets at a free or discounted basis, and that allows people to partner with us and take on some of these challenges, and in a partnership help us create new solutions.
Thank you so much for your, I really, really appreciate your answer. Thank you.